The following program discusses sensitive issues. Parental caution is advised. Welcome to A Mental Journey, the series where I talk about my mental issues and overcoming them. In this episode, I will deal with suicidal thoughts, a heavy subject that I will try to be both delicate but also real with. Firstly, I want to say, if you in any way struggle with thoughts concerning taking your own life, please reach out to someone and make sure to get help. To continue, as my burnout started to heal, I still had occasions when I would get intense anxiety. When my anxiety has been at its worst, blood drops have started to be pressed out of the skin of my face. Well, my depression was gone at this point in my journey. I felt fine mentally and hopeful in between my anxiety and panic attack episodes. But as those intense emotions would be triggered, I occasionally felt completely unable to bear my existence, which pushed me into thinking that the only option was to end it all. But the knowledge of how much it would hurt my son, my husband, and others around me was even more unbearable than the sense of not being able to stand the anxiety. So, thank God, He helped me to endure excruciating anxiety, where it felt like my heart and my head would explode. And here is the key. I endured it because I loved others more than myself. And I say this cautiously. I am aware that some resort to suicide with the thought that the family or friends would be better off without the one suffering. I myself have been tempted to lean on those deceiving thoughts during very depressed periods. But in all honesty, those kinds of thoughts, they are just that, deceiving thoughts. We can always lean on the fact made so clear in the Bible that life is holy and precious, and that death is something out of nature, something horrible and painful that all to some extent fear and abhor. Eternity is placed within every heart, the Bible says. It means that everyone somehow, instinctively in their heart, long for life, but a life free from pain. I also want to make clear that I do not believe in blaming or eternally condemning people who have committed suicide. This is an important topic to talk about, because even though I do see from my own experience that suicide is a final resort to gain control over one's life, and it is a selfish act, I also know that the sense of shame and regret is deeply connected to taking one's life. I firmly believe that God knows the heart, even until the last breath. We don't. But back to my story. Love is what kept me from committing suicide. I believe that true unselfish love only comes from the one who is love. The Bible says that God is love. Everything that drives God is rooted in love. His mercy, His justice, everything boils down to love. That love, that principle which rises above one's own circumstances, is what truly heals a broken heart and mind. There's a lot that can be said about that. But when we start experiencing the love of God toward us, when we start trusting Him and taking in and letting us be shaped into that same loving image, our own hurt is both mended and moved further and further back in our experiential priorities. We might not forget the facts, but the pain goes away, even the pain of self-pity. And here I need to stop again, because this is also a very delicate issue. It hurts to be hurt. And if we are hurt long enough, our chemistry and brain wiring are in some ways permanently changed. These are facts that affect what we experience, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. I have personally experienced how my body has started to break down by trauma and stress, but I have also experienced how those factual damages can be healed. When factual healing starts happening, what tends to linger and keep us from becoming fully whole are the deeply rooted unhealthy thinking patterns. This is something that we need to relearn. If we claim that our mental sickness has nothing to do with how we think or act, then we are fooling ourselves. If you would ask me, I would say that self-pity is the main cause for lingering, non-biological mental instability. We feel hurt, we feel sad, we feel unable to move on. Why? Because we inherently love ourselves and don't like being exposed to things that go against us. This is not to minimize dangerous situations where people are actually stuck in abusive situations, but we should learn to see our safe situation with some self-examination. This is where trust comes in again as the deal breaker for sickness or healing. Because without trust, outside of our own feelings, we can never heal. Please stay with me until the last episode, where I unpack more about my past and how that has affected my brain development. Trust me when I say this. I do not say what I say lightly. I have had to learn all this during extremely painful emotions where I seriously have contemplated suicide. This is why I deem it rightful for me to talk about. I know this can be a lot for some people, but this self-examination and brutal honesty toward myself has been crucial in my own healing process. The sooner we understand that all lifestyle-related illnesses, including many mental issues, has a finger pointing back at the one suffering, the quicker we can come to terms with what needs to change in order to be healthy. And we don't need to journey alone. There is help to get, especially from the great healer himself, Jesus Christ, and all the power that is promised in him. Next time, we'll dive more into anxiety and unpack the reasons behind my experience with it. So stay tuned for that. And as always, don't give up. There is hope.